All right. Well, we are glad that you all are here today, and we are going to talk about building and using more complex Google Sites. And so, Google Sites are very versatile, and that's some of the different things that we want to look at because there's a lot that they will do that we don't think about or we don't realize as we're using them. So we're going to go through that today. So, of course, I'm Janet Frazier. I'm the Digital Learning Facilitator in Inca. And Pam, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, Pam Johnson, and I'm Digital Learning Facilitator for Reynolds District, and I'm supporting Janet in the chat, so if you have questions, Janet's going to lead this presentation, and then I pause her, or feel free to unmute and pause her. We have a small group here today, so I think we can be informal, but yeah,
Yes.
Glad to be here.
All right, so I think we're okay as far as sound and video because everybody responded and talked a few minutes ago. If anybody has any issues with that, please do let Pam know. We are recording. At the end of the presentation, we will give you the link for my learning plan so that you will have that to be able to register for the presentation. And if you would like to jump into the slides, which you will need to be in them in just a little bit. So if you want to take just a moment and exit full screen so that you can open this up in a separate window or on another screen. It is bit.ly/complex sites.
I just put the link in the chat too.
Thank you. All right, and if you get it open, if you can give us a thumbs up so that we'll know that we'll keep going. Okay, good. Good. All right, so we are gonna keep trucking. So first of all, let's talk for just a minute about why Google Sites. And this is just some thoughts that I had, thoughts that I found online as far as the purpose of using Google Sites as opposed to a lot of other things. And of course, we know that free is always good. So Google Sites are free. They are part of our G Suite. And so the integration with so many other tools does make it very powerful. The fact that they are easily editable is really a great feature. And then there are templates that are available. We're going to look at the templates. It's shareable. And so as you share it, you do have control over who's able to access it, as well as the collaborative features where not only can you edit it easily, but if you share that access with someone else, they can also edit. And it is student friendly. And it is a great way to teach the digital literacy skills. And so what would we use it for? So we're going to take just a moment, and if you have got these slides open, you should be able to click right on that corkboard, and it's going to open a shared Google slide. And I'd like for you to take a second and grab a sticky note at the bottom and actually put on that sticky note what you would use or what you have used Google Sites for in your classroom. And let's take just a second and see what kind of feedback we get on that. And I have got the view open so that you can see what I see on this. If your students were editing this, you would be able to watch them as they're editing. And some people, as they build these, actually will put the sticky notes off to the side where you all are working right now, and they'll grab one and then pull it onto the corkboard. So, there's a couple of different ways that you can use this. So I see Kendra dragging hers over. Oh yeah, Travis, I bet you're talking about Padlet. Several different options. Okay, so I see that it's been used for student journals, for a training site, a repository, a training site, good. All right, so I'm going to jump back over here and jump back into our slideshow. And so we've got some different uses that we've talked about Google Slides for, and I do want to look at the ways that teachers can use Google Sites as well as the ways that students can. And there are some that I would consider more basic ways.
Sorry, Jamboard is what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. Yes, Jamboard's great. In fact, we did a training on that just a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't even think about that one. But there are some ways that teachers use them, some ways that students can use it, and some that I would consider more basic and some that are more complex. And so we're going to look at the features of some of these. We'll talk about some, let you explore some, and just some of the basic ways that I see teachers using sites are just quite frankly, as a web page, and that's a great way to use it. It again is easily editable. It's something that's easy for you to share, but it can also be used as a filing cabinet for storage. And somebody said a moment ago, a repository, and that would be kind of what that would be. A course landing page. So not only is it used as a web page, but if you already use Google Classroom, which most people in our district are using Google Classroom in these grade levels. And so it can be that course landing page that refers them then to the work that's in Google Classroom, but then you're able to give more explanation, more resources and so forth on the Google site. We do have an example of a parent page linked here, some collated resources, a couple of those that are really good. Being able to embed a Google form as a daily check-in is a great way that teachers are using Google Sites. And then some more complex ways that they can be used by teachers are as a discussion board. So then we have students also being given that editing access so that they can get in and to be able to use it to post their own parts of the discussion. It can be used as a collaborative workspace, and we're going to look at that a little bit more in just a moment. Digital breakouts or escape rooms. Have either of y'all done a digital breakout or escape room? Okay, I see one. A lot of fun. I love working on those, and we do have a training that should be up before long on that as well. And then actually using the site as a hyperdoc, and I put that in quotes because obviously it's not a doc, but it's in place of a hyperdoc, and there's a really great example for that as well. So some ways that students can use sites, and I've got a couple of links on here too, but first of all, students being able to create web pages. And I think when that becomes an option that we can get really creative with that, not just create a web page, but hey, we're reading this book. Why don't you become this character in the book and create a web page as if you're that character? Students can create them for clubs that they're a part of. There are multiple different perspectives that they could project through a web page. As a project presentation platform, and I've got this on both sides because there are templates, and if you're using a template or just doing a very basic website, I feel like that's a more basic use of sites. But if you're using it as a multi-layered or a collaborative project, it becomes more complex. So there's different ways that you can use it for that. A controlled audience for student blogs or journals. And this I think is very important because when students have an authentic audience, they truly tend to be more serious about what they're doing. They take their work seriously and they work towards perfecting that. And so when students are able to blog or able to journal and know that someone else is going to be reading it besides just the teacher, then they are going to step up to that and really want to do a very good job. So the nice thing about this is they can develop that site and it can only be shared with certain people. It can be only people who have the link are able to see it so that it's not out on the World Wide Web, but only for the ones who have access to it. So it is controlled. So safety is a key there, but more complex. A digital student portfolio, and we do have students that are doing writing portfolios in Google Slides at some of our schools. Skipping down to project websites. So not just the project presentation, but also the work site where the students are all jumping in collaboratively to work on the project together on this website, to develop it, to post the research, to put ideas, and then they use that to actually develop the final project presentation platform. So there's a couple, two different ways that we're thinking about that, not just presenting, but also the development of that presentation. And then using it to connect with other students around the world. And Kendra, I know that you do a lot with collaborating with other classrooms around the world. I don't know if you have specifically seen sites used for that, but if you do, I'd love for you to jump in and share about that. You're muted, I'm sorry.
In the Google Sites training site I created, it's all about global collaboration. So it's just, it's a way that kids can go on. I've got Padlets on there where they can collaborate on Padlet or Flipgrid and embedded that inside the sites.
Well, if you don't care, we may grab that and link it in here too, if you don't care.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you. All right, so here were some just random ideas that kind of fit in with different curriculum in different places, and just to kind of get our creative juices flowing, because I really do feel like part of the strength in using Google Sites is the creativity that's behind it. And not just our creativity as educators, but also the students, because they're going to be able to bring thoughts and ideas into this as well. So one idea would be to create a tour, and it could be a tour of a building or a particular country. It could be just an area, a town. So think setting, think history. There's a lot that could be encompassed in that idea. Creating a diary as a book character. And there you've got multiple pages. Each page could be a day or a week or however you or the student wanted to design that. So that would be a way to bring in writing as well as the reading and the comprehension from the book, because to write as a character, you're going to have to be able to understand that character's perspective. Creating a digital escape room, and I do have a link on here for that. And that digital escape room could be about digital citizenship. So that was just one idea, but really you can do a digital escape room about anything. And then you could also pair with another class in another culture and use it as a blog. And I believe some of that is what we will see in Kendra's when we get that linked in here, which is really great. And then also personifying an inanimate object, and that can be as wild as the imagination is. It could be a number that you're personifying, or a monument, or whatever would be accurate for your particular curriculum area. Maybe it's an element or an atom, whatever, that you might create a web page from first person to be able to share about that.
Janet, Kendra also posted an idea. I know part of this training is to generate ideas, because Sites is available to kids. It's an excellent way to publish, like you were saying, for an authentic audience. And so Kendra, do you want to share what you put in the chat?
Sure. So one of my middle school business teachers had students create a fake business with a business plan and then create a website for that business. I thought it was a fabulous lesson.
I love it. That's excellent. And then just a few need to know tips as we're getting into this is the adding editors, which we will look at a little bit more, but just know that you can add editors. The fact that it's drag and drop, and Pam may talk a little bit more about that when we get into the building them. And then the fact that you can embed directly from Google and YouTube. And these were just important things that came from Ditch That Textbook. And I did link the particular site at the bottom of this slide so that you would have that too as we get into this. So we want to take about 3 minutes, and on slides 10, 11, 9, and 8, these are all links that go directly out to examples or specific pieces about those. Most of them are examples, but I'd like to take 3 minutes for you to use slides 8, 9, and 10 and just click on some of those, look at them, notice and wonder. So I'm going to start the 3-minute time clock and close my mouth. Feel free to unmute if you have a question as we're going through. All right. Did you get to click on some of those particular links? And feel free to unmute for just a second and tell me something you saw, something you liked, something that was new.
I saw something I'd like to know more about, the idea of like creating a tour, like of either a building or of land. There wasn't a link to it, but that sounds kind of interesting.
Yes. Okay, good. Anything else? So templates, let's talk about templates. And at the end, when we get ready to explore some of the other, we may talk specifically about how we would go about building that tour to Travis. So templates, there are a couple of kinds of templates that I wanted to talk to you about. And I am actually going to get out of this so that I can go in and show you what templates would look like. So I'm going into sites. And in just a moment, it's going to open up. And at the top are going to be a few of the very popular templates. Here we go. So the part that kind of has the gray background, we see templates. And then below that on the white background are going to be recent sites that have been accessed. And mine is defaulting to owned by anyone, but I can change that to the ones that I own if I want to. But up at the top, the templates in the template gallery, I'm going to click on template gallery, which basically is the templates that it was showing. There's a few extra. These are great because it gives you the ready-made template that you're going to click on. So I'm just going to click on event. And Kendra, this makes me think about the small businesses that you mentioned a moment ago. There are those business websites. So if they were creating a business, they could click a template and it would open that template, and all they would have to do then would be go in and change it to each piece to whatever fits their particular business. So that would really make it scaffolded well for students who might need to do that or might need that help. So I am going to just call this Boston Tea Party. And so here I have each piece. I can click in it, edit it, change the image if I want to. And so we have all of those pieces that are right here and ready to go. Now, the other part of templates are not actually templates, but layouts. And so the layouts that are over here just make building it very easy. And Pam's going to talk about starting at the very beginning of a site. So I'm not going to get into this anymore right now because I'm thinking she may cover a little bit of this as she's talking about it. But just know that the templates at the top are there, the layouts are here, and it just makes our life a lot easier when we have those particular pieces. So I'm going to turn it over to Pam for a couple of minutes. And Pam, do you want to share instead of me sharing?
Sure. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
go ahead and do that.
Give me
So
just a
I'm
second.
on slide 15. I'm going to go to slide 16. I'm not going to present, so if you want to follow along with me, because I know it's kind of small on my shared screen, because I want to click around to a couple of different things. But if one of the first things that we think about if we're doing this with students, which is why we wanted to kind of introduce it to you as not just a teacher website, but it could be a student site and project, is planning. So in thinking about planning, I think the first thing you want to talk with students about is like the outline, the flow, and then what kind of visuals you want. And so what we've really just tried to do is give you a couple of images and some ways to help them plan. So now, again, thinking about flow, this is sort of a business, you know, I copied it, so the language is not ours. It talks about project, but if you look at this, there's a home page, and there's basically just a series of clicks that take it inside. And that is a hard outline. And I put that up because if you're here, it takes a long time to kind of get back. Like you've got to go through multiple clicks to get into. So when students realize like the clicking and the depth of their website and how to make it easily accessible, I think this is something like a visual is great. So I'm going to click on this Google slide and how you could use Google Slides to actually make your template. So as a flow, and it's super simple. Google Slides already has these charts, kind of flow charts built in, kind of like Word or PowerPoint and those Office programs do as well. And so you notice on this one, I'm only 3 layers deep, but I've still got 6 pages plus my home page. So it's a lot better flow to navigate. So again, thinking about the flow, that's something to talk about with your students. And the way that I built this, it is kind of moving slow, isn't it? Sorry. Because there's pages on the side. It's probably because I have it opened up again and it's looking at that, but give it just a second. So I just, you can have this already built for the students and it's there. So you could take this if you want, make a copy of it of your own, and then they could edit it. But the way that it's created, when you click insert and you come down and you're going to click a diagram. And so there's lots of different diagrams on the side. So I'm just going to click diagrams so you can see then the different types of diagrams that pop up to the right. So if you haven't used that tool before, this is an excellent tool to have them plan out their website. So I just use the hierarchy one. I just like the layout of that. Plus it provided that same structure of website design. And then what I did is that not only are you looking at flow, but you also want to look at each page. And so the student comes in with, I know that I need maybe 1 image to support this, or really this is a multiple image and a small text. So on those subpages as they're planning, and this is linked at some point, you can see where they could click and link to it, then they would put their information here to kind of plan it out, just brainstorm it. So I think it's a great kind of way to get started. I also have, so I'm going to go back to our site, this layout cheat sheet that I found. Oops, pop back one time. So notice that this resource is there for you as well. If you want to pop this up, it is PDF, so you could share that with the students again, creating that conversation of planning before you actually just go in and start adding pages and adding content. Because one of the nice things about Google Sites is it's so easy if you've got something in your drive to just pull that over. So this is sort of a layout infographic that you can just kind of see that. How do I want to choose that one that has the 3 images with the text under it? What kind of layout do I want? Do I want sort of a timeline layout? So again, helping them plan, giving them something to plan with. And then finally, the next slide, and then I actually want to go in and show you, it's just another, if you click on this, it's another document for helping you think about planning. And this one's nice. I like this one because it lets me maybe even just type in the text, and then maybe where there's an image picture, I can just write the name of the image file, maybe where I have it saved on my computer, so that when I'm ready to build it, I'm good to go. And especially if I'm collaborating with a team. So let me open up a website and just kind of give you, we're going to minimize the images. So, just talk if you need me so that I can kind of see everything on the page. So can you guys see this website?
Yes.
Welcomes. Okay, perfect. So what I've done is on the right, you've got a toolbar and there's insert and pages. And so for pages, what I would suggest is once the students have planned out, I want 5 pages and how I want them to be, to link together. Then I would go ahead and add those pages. So you just come to the bottom, you would just click plus, and I'm just gonna put training page for Google Sites. Once that page is created, then I can drag it around to make it a sub page or a outer heading page. So I've got home, and technically I've got the home page, but then if you look, all of these are kind of sub pages. So there's my home. This is your first level of sub pages. And then if you see one that has an arrow and you click on that, then you have a sub page. So you kind of go into that depth. And notice that I have lines over some of these. So what I've done is I built the pages intentionally thinking this is what's going to go here, but I'm not ready. Like I don't have information on it yet. So if I click on those 3 dots, I can go down and hide it. So this one's already hid. So if I'm ready to show it, I can say show, and you'll see that that pops open. So now it's a live page. or I can click on that and I can say hi. And then again, I built that one page. Let me go find it and show you. It's a really nice, this training one. Let's say I want it to be inside this, then I can just drop it straight inside, and it's part of now a sub page, or actually a sub page. So the language of, I think, how you want your layout to be and the flow, and then have them build those pages and then come and look at that and go across the top. In this particular template, these are where my first sub pages are. And then if I have a sub page, you can see how it opens up. And so I think that's really important in starting and planning, is thinking about it. Go ahead and build them, hide the ones that you don't have content for, and then as you finish that content, then you can open them up to make them public. Okay.
And even having them hidden, Pam, can't they stay hidden and have a link to them just so that they can't be searched and found, but you can still put information on them?
Absolutely. So what that does is it'll take it out of the navigation, so you don't have to see all of those pages in just like a pop-down menu, but you can still get to them. Makes a much cleaner look of a website. I agree. Yes. Good point.
I like that. All right. So that was great information. I did put in a slide with the royalty-free image sites. Just know that when you're in the G Suite, images that you find in there should come with the permissions to be able to use for projects like this. But if you need additional images for some reason, maybe you can't find the particular one you're needing, these are some good royalty-free image sites that are linked here. So we're going to take about, I'm looking at my clock here, we're going to take about 5 minutes. And what we'd like for you to do is to do one of a couple of things. Either find a template, and you can go back to those slides that we looked at earlier that have the templates on them, or you can go to a Google Sites template for, and this is actually, I mistyped this. This is actually a Google Sites template for a breakout room. So if you want to come here, you can. There are some novel hyperdocs here. You can use a template that we looked at previously, or you can start from scratch with just a plain, fresh Google site. And we're going to take about 5 minutes to do that. But if you are going to start from scratch, you will come into your Drive, come to the 9-dot menu, and down to Sites. And when it opens, you can either start from scratch with that plus that will be at the top left, soon we hope, or you can use one of those templates that are going to be shown there. There we go. So we can start with a blank, or we can start with one of the templates, or going into the template gallery if we're looking for something additional. So think about something that you're going to be needing to work on coming up soon, and go ahead and take 5 minutes and start on a site, and then we will jump back in and look at some additional things that we can do with Google Sites that ramp them up even a little bit more. So I'm going to start our timer. Travis, if you're good, we're going to keep moving forwards. So we want to talk just a little bit about sharing your site, and I'm going to also stay in this particular mode so that I can actually jump over to a site and look at the sharing permissions. So one of the things with sites that is not necessarily the same with other Google Docs is the publishing. You do have to publish, and if you don't publish, then whatever you've developed won't be seen by the outside world. So it's the same with changes. If you make new changes to your site, you do need to republish it. And it is defaulting now, if I'm not mistaken, to the fact that you will see the old version and the new version before you republish to make sure that you're verifying that, yes, I do want to make these changes. You can turn that off. And so that is one of the options that you can turn off if you just want to be able to click publish, and it actually does that for you. You are able to name your site. And so you can see in this one, the name of it is https://sites.google.com/bcsemail.org/ and then I was able to give it the name Fraser Videos. So you can actually give it a name that makes it easy for you or for your students to be able to remember, as long as that name isn't already taken. So just know that that is one of the options that you do have when you create a site. So it can be meaningful.
So Janet, where were you seeing that name?
It's
Gotcha.
it's
I can see it now.
right here at the bottom. Yes, it's kind of
Perfect.
small because I was trying to fit so much on this
No,
one
that's good.
slide.
That's good.
And then under settings, when you're getting ready to share it with the outside world, you want to tell who's going to be able to see it. And so under your links, this is very similar to other Google Suite products. You can tell who you want to be able to edit or who you want to be able to see this particular site. So in draft form, anybody who has the link is able to edit. So obviously, I would not give people my draft link, but when it's published, anybody on the internet can find and open it. Now, is anybody going to be searching for my site? Probably not, but it is potentially open to the public. And so that's where it's nice that you can be able to then share it only with restricted people. So it's only people who have the link are able to view it. And I did put a link in here to some further explanation of the sharing settings that are in there. Any other particular question on that? Okay, I'm going to pop over to this Boston Tea Party site just so that we can look at that. So right here is where I'm publishing. And of course, this one is naming it Boston Tea Party because that's what I named the site. If there was already a site with this name, I could add a to, or I could add Fraser or whatever after it. Who can view my site? Right now, it's anyone at Buncombe County Schools, and I can change that if I need to change that as well. Okay. All right, so I'm going to cancel that. Here are the settings for sharing with people, and well, it actually took me right into the same place. So I'm going to click change the draft. Anybody can see it, but again, I could make it restricted or anybody with the link, or I could actually remove the link. And then the same with the published site, who can find it and who can see it. And then I would click done when I'm done with that. So that's where those settings are, just to make that viewable by whomever needs to see it. So some more advanced design ideas that we did want to share with you, since this is about making more complex sites. There are several different tools, several different pieces that can be integrated into a site. So it's not just a website. There are some picture GIF creation tools, and you can actually just use Google Slides. It makes kind of a slow GIF, but you can use Google Slides for that. And there's an example of that here. You can use Giphy.com. There is another one called Tall
Tweets.
But,
Yeah, and Kendra, that's one I think you shared. We were talking earlier. It is open for teachers. We weren't sure if it was open for students. So
and
we
I couldn't get
probably,
it to work for me today. So
okay. So I know that you had shared that in an email with us, and we tried it. Super easy. It's a real nice one. I'll put it in the chat too if you want to
Sounds
test
great.
it, Travis. It's a great one. Thanks for that share, Kendra.
Yeah, Lorraine and I worked with it today. So
Oh.
it's the add-on is open for teachers. That's inside
Okay.
Google Slides Creator Studio, but I think the URL you can go to through the URL, and I think that is not available for teachers.
That's why I couldn't get to it. So
Oh,
that's exactly what
so
it was.
see, that is for me. I'm gonna put what I put in the chat, and then you can test it, Kendra. It's called talltweets.com. And so I didn't use it as an add-on. I used the add-on piece, but I went and made my GIF at talltweets.com, right? And then I embedded, because the thing that you had shared was the embed in the Google slide, which was this kind of separate piece.
Yes.
But the GIF part was the tall tweets. So we'll check and see.
So the way I use it, and the way I showed Lorraine to use it, is I just open a blank Google slide and put my images in it, and then use the add-on from there to create it, and then put it in the presentation or wherever I want it. So that's
So that you use the add-on in Google Slides.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. I'll try that too. Sounds really good.
Are you saying tall tweets?
Yeah, I put
Tall
the, oops, sorry.
Like-
Let me put
like
it for
Tweety
everyone.
Bird?
Yeah, let me put it here
Yes.
in the chat.
Yes.
It's in the chat now. I was sending it privately to Janet. Sorry.
And then Giphy.com. This is one that was already on Giphy. You can find a lot that are already there, but you can also create there. Embed tools. And so that's one of the things that I feel like makes sites very robust, is when your tools are embedded directly into your site and not just linked out somewhere else. So here are examples of several different tools, and basically any tool that you go to that has an embed code, you can embed directly into Google Sites. And so that would be helpful for being able to build these sites and give them a lot of body, give them a lot of character, give them a lot that's directly in the site. And so these examples are all linked. Feel free to take time to go in and explore those. The Jigsaw Planet, you can make your own jigsaw puzzle and put it in there. You can also use puzzles that are already on there. That might be something that would be neat if you were building a tour of a building or a monument or an area too, Travis, would be to be able to find puzzles or to create puzzles of parts of it so that students could put those together to see what parts of it look like. The image carousel, this would be another piece that would be really powerful for being able to do a tour. And so this is a link that takes you directly to instructions about that. And this also does, and then buttons. And so I'm gonna pop out of here real quick so that I can show you a couple of these pieces directly in the Google site. So here I am in the Google site. If I were embedding, whether it's a GIF or a picture or a video or whatever, if it was something that I had a code for that I had gotten embed code, I would click embed, and in the embed code option, I would paste my embed code, and then I would click next, and then it would pop it down here into our site. Let's see, I've got a couple of things embedded in here. So here's the embedded.
This is Paula from Science and today I'm going to show you how to embed
you found one.
For example,
Okay.
I made this.
So on this side, do what?
Sorry, that was me.
That's okay. Okay, so here's the image carousel. If we were wanting to put the image carousel in, so maybe I want an image carousel down here, click image carousel, and then I would start adding images, either selecting or uploading images. And when we get more than two or more, we're able to click insert, and it gives us that carousel that then is going to rotate through those images. And you can actually make it rotate automatically, or you can click on it to rotate. This is actually a GIF that's in here that is created at SignBot. And so this can be used to put information in, or it could send them somewhere else, or just a daily message. You could put the date in there each day if it were a class website. So a lot of those are going to be found right here on the right under Insert. So whether I'm inserting a layout or, well, you can see right there, Drive, something from Drive. Collapsible text is something that can really expand and give your one page a lot more material. The button is here, which is basically a link either to another page or to an outside source. And then directly to YouTube, the maps is a great tool. And so if we wanted to do NK Intermediate School, and what I see typically when I do this is, sorry, we have no imagery here, but when I click select and it pops it in, it pulls that map and puts it in. And so that's a great way to be able to give a context as to a place that you want in a Google site as well. But you see below then we have several different Google tools. You can use this to insert directly from Google Docs or tools, slides, sheets that you have already created. And this is where you could embed a form directly in that you might have, the daily check-in form or whatever type of form. Questions about those? That's a lot on one slide.
Those are great. There's a lot of good stuff there that I hadn't seen too. So until you built this and shared this with me, so thank you.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, we are not going to take 10 minutes to try this out, but if we were, this would be our 10-minute timer. So we do have some additional resources that we put on the resources and credits page that are just some great places that some of this information came from, some helpful tools that will take you out to that. And we do have the My Learning Plan link. And Pam, do you have that you can pop into the chat?
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay,
right
so
now.
Pam's going to pop this into the chat. While she's putting this in the chat, Travis, just to kind of talk through the way that I would do a tour, I would do several things as far as a tour. If students were creating a tour, I would probably come up with a template as to some basics that I wanted them to do first and create a template site and then duplicate that for the students to be able to have to start with. I think that the flow charts that Pam showed in the middle would be very helpful for that, because then they could plan where they're going to go through the building or through the town or through whatever particular place that it is that they are giving a tour of. They could plan, you know, what building, if it's I don't know what you're kind of thinking about, if you're thinking about a building or a town, but if it were a town, they could have a page for each building and then sub pages for the different parts of the building or the different rooms or the different floors. And then I think within that to have either a puzzle or that image carousel, or maybe just a single image with research and information about that, so that as they're clicking on it, they're able to go through, in quotes, through that particular place, so that they're able to explore without having to really leave wherever that they are. I think that's good for students who are very spatially oriented to be able to use something like that, so that they're exploring, or so that they are able to explain what it is that they would see, using maps to be able to explore the parts of a town or the parts of a country or the parts of an area would also be helpful. So I don't know if maybe some of those ideas would be helpful, and I'm glad to sit down with you sometime if we could plan and implement something like that together. I would love to collaborate on that.
Okay.
It'd be really cool to add that audio feature to each, like if you do it in Google Slides, where they can click on the audio and hear the person kind of describing where they are. I think that'd be kind of cool.
That would be really great. Other thoughts or ideas or questions?